بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. Indeed, all praises due to Allah, we praise Him, seek His aid and ask His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evils of ourselves and from the evils of our actions. Whomsoever Allah guides and can misguide, and whomsoever Allah misguides and can guide, I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except for Allah alone, having no partner, and I bear witness that Muhammad is a slave and His messenger. First of all, I do apologize for not coming on time due to the fact that something had happened and had a puncture. That's why it was delayed. But alhamdulillah, I would say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made it easy for me to make it up in such a short time. And now we come into the continuation of chapter 9. Bab man tabarraka bi shajarin aw hajarin aw wa nahwihima. The one who seeks tabarruk, and they said the barakah is the one to ask for goodness. And it's from the barakah with the kasra of that, and also the barakah from as well, which is barakah, which is the sources of the water when it goes together. And it indicates, as I said, number one, it is the abundance of it. It indicates as well the continuation of it, or the still, it's being still as well. We said the tabarruk is of two types, mamnu' and mashru'. The mashru' is the one we said, either it is mashru' with something that you know from the religion, like the Quran, and also we talked about the athar of the Prophet ﷺ, whatever from the Messenger of Allah, and we had Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anhu, 3 hairs in his helmet. And can anybody tell me as well, as an example of tabarruk mashru' from the Prophet ﷺ as an example? Now,
the remaining of the wudu water of Prophet.
The remaining of the wudu of the Prophet ﷺ and the people from Bahrain, they drank the water which is being left in the pot after the Messenger of Allah had made his wudu. Also? Now? Sorry? The Prophet ﷺ, who's done that? No? Oh, yes? Who is that Sahabi? I'm just saying, he knows. Who's the Sahabi? Sulaym, radiallahu anha, what she did? She mixed it with the perfume of the kids. Right, that's good. Who else as well? Nah. The hair of the Prophet ﷺ, she gave it to Abu Talha al-Ansari to give it to the companions. Who else as well?
Clothes.
The clothes of the Prophet ﷺ were the hadith of Irbad ibn Sariyah. This is the hair. The clothes of his was kept. And if you remember as well, Habiba, she had taken the mouthpiece of the water skin. Prophet ﷺ touched it with his mouth. To drink from it, she went to the mouthpiece and she cut it to make tabarruk with it. So all of those tabarruk is seeking the barakah. And the second tabarruk, which is also from the tabarruk al-mashru', which we said it is from sitting with the people of Salihin, the knowledge of the scholars. And as a proof of that, the Prophet ﷺ, when he was traveling one day, and what happened, the daughter of his, Aisha, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, which is the daughter of Abu Bakr, she had lost a necklace, and she had to make the whole army looking for it. Because of that, they stayed behind for a bit of time, and then they have run out of water. And because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down what? Tayammum ayah. The Tayammum ayah in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that ayah made it permissible to make the dry ablution. So one of the companions came to Abu Bakr and he said, مَا هَذِهِ بِأَوَّلِ بَرَكَتِكُمْ يَا أَهْلَ أَبِي بَكْرٍ. This is not the first time that we have barakah from you. Barakah even from something that looks not good, which is the delay of your daughter's necklace. We've been searching for it, but this is the barakah of yours, that we have barakah from you, Abu Bakr. So this is a barakah which is hissiyatun ma'luma, we say. Second type of tabarruk we said is the tabarruk which is what? It is not mamnu', which is tabarruk with any other people, even prophets other than the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and also from those lying barakah, the barakah of the people who are liars, And also the barakah, or tabarruk with the shajar, with the stone, with the tree, and all of that. We find with some people as well, they take barakah from other people by, remember, we said as well, wrapping their hands and taking from their hands as well. And all of that, tabarruk is mamnu', and it's not right. Right, so let's go now to continuation of this chapter. We said that this chapter is start with the ayah. Go ahead.
Today's 15th lesson, 25th of Muharram, 1438, and 26th of October 2016. Under chapter 9, and the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, translation of the verse 19, Surah An-Najm, in the English language. Have you then considered Al-Lat and Al-Uzza, two idols of the pagan Arabs?
Right, this ayah is preceded by ayat, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about how وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى, and by the star when it falls down. This is the shooting star. مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى, to the end of the verses. لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى, the Prophet ﷺ, he had seen from the signs of Allah major signs. And the major signs here, the scholars have differed regarding it, as he had seen from the ayat, and it could be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made the Prophet ﷺ to see the biggest ayat of Allah Azza wa Jal. And after he had mentioned those verses, Allah mentions the following ayah: أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ اللَّاتَ وَالْعُزَّى وَمَنَاةَ الثَّالِثَةَ الْأُخْرَى. That means, tell me about them. What is regarding them? And here is to belittle those people who believe in such idols. Al-Lat is to be recited with Al-Lat, which is got shadda on the lam, Al-Lat. And Al-Lat is the name of a person whom they used to call him a person of Barakah. He used to sort of paste the dates and make it food for the people of pilgrims, which is the Hujjaj. And when he had died, this man, he had a shrine on top of his grave, which is a tomb. And if you read it on Alat, not Alat, then it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name. So they have actually derived from Allah's name a name for the statue. So whether that is the name of a man who had, as I said, a tomb on his grave, or it is one of the names derived from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they call it Al-Lat. And this is a god which is designated to the people of Ta'if and whoever is around them. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had sent Al-Mughirah ibn Shu'bah, and he had demolished that Al-Lat, and also he had burnt it with fire. And this was happening at the time when the Prophet of Allah repossessed Mecca. When he repossessed Mecca, he sent a number of companions to demolish those gods, false gods worshipped by the people and the Arabs around the Arabian Peninsula. Remember, there were 360 idols in Kaaba, 360 statues. Al-Uzza is the second one, and Al-Uzza was for Quraysh and Banu Kinana. And the Prophet ﷺ, he had sent Khalid ibn Walid to kill it. When we say kill it, that means it's a human being. So the Uzza in itself, it was a statue, and it represents a god where Quraysh and Banu Kinana used to worship him. And it's the word Uzza from the word Aziz. And this is from the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it has been said, a number of ahadith regarding this Al-Uzza. One of them, you find it in Abi Ya'la, the number is 902. And when the Prophet ﷺ had repossessed Mecca, he had sent Khalid to a palm tree, and it was the Uzza there. So he went there and he had cut the tree. Then also he had demolished the house which was next to the tree. Then he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he told him what he did. So he said to him, go back, for verily you haven't done anything. So he went back, And then as soon as he got back, the sadana saw him. The sadana, the ones who work, are slaves for the god. So as soon as they saw him, they started, and they were actually at the bottom of the mountain, and their god, which is Al-Uzza, she's a lady by the way, we're going to see it, she was in that mountain, and they were saying, O Uzza khabbili, that means demolishing, O Uzza khabbili. And he went, Khalid radiallahu anhu, on the top of the mountain, and he saw a woman, and she was totally naked, and she had her hair going all the way down, and she was putting some dust and dirt on top of her head. Straight away, Khalid radiallahu anhu, he had decapitated her head, killed her, and he went to the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet of Allah, he said, Tilka hiya Uzza. Some of the scholars make this hadith to be Hasan. So this is Al-Uzza, she was a lady. Manat is a derived name from Al-Mannan, or it could be from Mina. That is because of the blood, which used to be dripped on top of it, or it would be spilled upon it. So that is what it is, Dima, or from Dima, or it is from the Mannan. And this idol, Al-Manah, it was between Mecca and Medina, and it belongs to Hudayl and Khuza'. And the Aus and the Khazraj, they used to come to Hajj and regard this god to be a holy god. That statue used to be, Prophet of Allah, he sent Ali radiallahu anhu, and he had demolished that statue, that god. الثالثة الأخرى, that you are actually, is it an indication that the one that you all the time regard to be a god and a mighty god, and you try to as well to slaughter animals and you try to put blood, so also that is despicable and something which is disgraceful for you to take it. How can you take such a thing? So those are the three idols that are mentioned, and these are how the Prophet ﷺ used to deem them to be very, the ones who are misguided people, which Al-Lat wal-Uzza wa Manat. Right, so here the scholar, which is Imam Muhammad, said Al-Ayat. After he had mentioned أَفَرَأَيْتَ اللَّاتَ وَالْعُزَّى, he said Al-Ayat, the verses. And he meant the verses which are following that verse. أَلَكُمُ الذَّكَرُ وَلَهُ الْأُنْثَى. Also, Allah says, do you specify yourself with the male children and offsprings, and you give the god to have the female? So this is again that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking a rhetorical question, which is a question to belittle and to humiliate those people whom all the time attribute girls and daughters to Allah and attribute to themselves the male. So that is why when one of them have a male, he will have a black tie. And if you got a female, he will have a black face, and he can't even show his face to other people. And after all of that, they say the angels are the daughters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they made the daughters to Allah, God forbid, and for them whatever they like, which is the male. Tilka idan qismatun dhiza. This is a unfair balance, unfair way of, giving the shares. You give the shares to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which are the daughters, the female, and you give yourself the males. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, In hiya illa asma'un sammaytumuha antum wa aba'ukum ma anzala Allah biha min sultan. So this is the names of the statues that you have given in the names of, for example, Al-Lat from Allah, Al-Uzza from Al-Aziz, Manat from Al-Mannan. All of those names, they are names. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give you authority to do so. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had actually falsified, and He had put down these names. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقِّ. And that is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the haqq. وَأَنَّ مَا يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ هُوَ الْبَاطِلِ. And whatever they call beside Him is falsehood. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْكَبِيرُ. And Allah is the Ali al-Kabir. This is in Surah Al-Hajj, but we have another ayah in Surah Luqman, which is إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ الْعَلِيُّ الْكَبِيرُ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقِّ وَأَنَّ مَا يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ الْبَاطِلِ. Without huwa. وأن الله هو العلي الكبير. This is as in interpretation of La ilaha illallah. So if anybody asks you, is the way that you're saying La ilaha illallah, there is no God worthy of worship except for Allah alone, that is this definition. And have you got proof for that? The proof for that, this is the ayah. Surah Al-Hajj, okay, and the Surah Al-Quran, because ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقِّ وَأَنَّ مَا يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ هُوَ الْبَاطِلِ. This is the interpretation of La ilaha illallah. Whatever you call, that is Allah is the haqq, and whatever you call beside him is the batil. This is the tafsir, interpretation of La ilaha illallah. Right, and then Allah says, إِن يَتَّبِعُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. The ayat, which is talking about the verse that follows. They always follow gestures, they don't follow certainty. So they always follow the gestures, they don't follow the proof, which is the haqq. وَمَا تَهْوَى الْأَنفُسِ. Also they always follow whims and desire. And this is the most harmful thing on the person when he follows his whims and desire. The person who worships Allah according to what he likes and according to what he thinks is correct, then he is not worshipping Allah truly. But verily, he is worshipping his own ideologies. He's worshipping his own intellect. And so Allah says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Can you see that person who had taken his whims and desire to be his God, وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ, and Allah misguided him upon even knowledge. So the one who worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he worships him with the guidance, not with the whims and desire. And he is the one upon the haqq. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَهُمْ مِنْ رَبِّهِمُ الْهُدَى. And guidance came to them from their Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. The link between this ayah to the chapter title is that those people, they used to think that those idols, that it would benefit them and it might harm them, and that is why they come to it, and they used to call upon it. They used to make rituals like slaughtering next to it, used to get closer to it, and that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would test the person. So this is only to Allah Azza wa Jal, and it should not be to anybody else. Now after this we come to the hadith which we have discussed also before. عن أبي واقد الليثي. Now, do you have any footnotes? Please read it.
Footnotes at the end of the hadith. Abu Waqid al-Laythi said, we went out with Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam to Hunayn, and we had just recently left disbelief. The polytheists had a Lote tree that they used to frequent for devotion and hang their weapons on, and it was called Dhatu Anwat. So we passed by a Lote tree and said, O Allah's Messenger, make a Dhatu Anwat just like their Dhatu Anwat. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater. Verily, it is the ways of earlier nations. By Him in whose hand is my soul, you have all said the same as the children of Israel said to Musa, make for us a God just like their gods. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, verily, you are a people who know not, and you will follow the ways of those who were before you.
Okay, can you just read the notes?
Sheikh Hamid al-Faqih said, what they sought was not from minor shirk, as if it was. And if it was, then why did he sallallahu alaihi wasallam make it equal to the saying of the children of Israel, set up a God for us? And he swore on...
Read in a way that we're not breaking the sentence, because otherwise that makes sense. Go on.
What they sought was not from minor shirk, and if it was, then why did he sallallahu alaihi wasallam make it equal to the saying of the children of Israel, set up a God for us? And he swore on oath upon that. Rather, it is from major shirk, just like that which is the children of Israel sought was from major shirk. And the only reason they didn't disbelieve by their seeking it was because they were new to Islam, and because they didn't actually do that which they were seeking and didn't proceed upon it. Rather, they asked the Prophet ﷺ and he refused them. So reflect. The negation of the blessings from the tree and what resembles it is from the meaning of La ilaha illallah. So indeed, La ilaha illallah negates every deity other than Allah and negates divinity from other than Allah, and likewise blessings cannot come from other than Allah.
Okay, Jazakallah. The hadith, obviously it links straight away with a straight link to the title, because it talks about the tabarruk with the sidra, which is the Lote tree. So the link is obvious. So this is an incident that took place after the Prophet ﷺ had repossessed Mecca, and the people of Hawazin, Thaqif, who around the Arabian Peninsula, they got a big army. They said it's about 20,000, the army, in order to wipe off Islam. And they were really scared, because if Muhammad, they said, if Muhammad had finished from the people of Quraysh, he's going to come to us, the people of Ta'if. So that is why they gathered 20,000. And the Prophet ﷺ, he hardly just settled in Mecca, and just a month after the repossession of Mecca, which was in Ramadan, just after a month, which is in Shawwal, it happened, Prophet of Allah set forth straight away with whoever comes with him, the 10,000, plus 2,000 from those who are newcomers to the deen. 2,000 from the newcomers. So this is an incident took place from the 2,000 who just embraced Islam. So if you had embraced Islam recently, definitely you're going to get lots of history, which is not going to be easily wiped off in one and a half month, or 1 month after you've embraced Islam. So even some of the mushrikeen, they went with the Prophet ﷺ. So some of the ones who did not really embrace Islam, they went with the Prophet ﷺ. Like Safwan ibn Umayyah, he went in that battle. And the Prophet ﷺ, also he had borrowed from Safwan ibn Umayyah a number of shields, a number of spears, and even Safwan inquired, is that something that confiscation, or this is like a borrow? He said, no, with a borrow. When the Prophet of Allah returned back from this battle, he gave them all of the shields, which is about 30 shields, and a number of as well spears. He gave them all of that, and plus on top of it, he gave them so many camels, subhanAllah, that he had given them so much. Safwan, he says, verily, I used to have that Muhammad was to be the most hated person to my face. And he's given me until I love him. He's the most beloved face to me. His religion was the most hated religion to my heart. He gave me until his religion was the most beautiful religion to my heart. His land was the most hated land to my heart. He gave me till I had his land to be the most beloved land to my heart. So this is Safwan ibn Umayyah. And in that battle, the Battle of Hunayn, as well, there are some people who had just hardly embraced Islam, and they were even at the back. As soon as the incident took place in Hunayn, they were the first people to run off. Even some of them made comments saying that, oh, this spell of magic of Muhammad had finished. Their defeat will not even stop until the sea. Even the brother of Safwan ibn Umayyah was making a commentary. Yeah, today we finished from Muhammad. Maybe Safwan, he said to his brother, verily I would like to be ruled by somebody from Quraysh, but never to be ruled from somebody from Hawazin and Thaqif. To do that with the racism here. I would like to be ruled from somebody, even if not from the same religion, he said, which is Muhammad ﷺ from Quraysh, but I will never accept to be ruled from somebody else. Abu Waqid al-Laythi, his name is Al-Harith ibn Auf. He had died in the year 68 after Hijrah. Abu Waqid al-Laythi is from the Tulaqa, the ones who just embraced Islam. So they came, he said, with 12,000, and this is an army which is the biggest so far. Of course, the biggest so far will be later on. Prophet in the Battle of Tabuk will get 30,000. But this is the biggest so far. Whether it's for the Muslims, the biggest so far, or even to the newcomers, they never had bigger than the army which was in the Battle of the Trench, which was 10,000. And that is 10,000 including all the Arabs around the Medina. So to have 12,000, and when you are having 12,000 in a sort of level plane, you could see how big it is. So they were boasting about it. They were saying, oh, لَن نُغْلَبَ الْيَوْمِ مِنْ قِلَّةٍ. We were never going to be defeated because of few number. We've got a lot of number. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made them to taste the taste of the defeat at the beginning of the battle, just to show them that the victory is only from Allah. If you give victory to Allah by following His command, Allah will give you victory, and He will firm your feet in the battle. When they passed by with the Prophet ﷺ by a tree, and now he says, وَنَحْنُ حُدَثَاءُ عَهْدٍ بِكُفْرٍ. This narration had narrated a number of times, which says that it means حُدَثَاءُ, that means we are just recently been with kufr, and another narration recently been embraced Islam. So recently kufr, that means recently left kufr. Recently in Islam, that means recently embraced Islam. In both ways it's accepted. So حُدَثَاءَ عَهْدٍ بِكُفْرٍ or حُدَثَاءَ عَهْدٍ بِإِسْلام. حُدَثَاءَ بِعَهْدٍ كُفْرٍ, that means we just left kufr, not a long time ago. حُدَثَاءَ بِعَهْدٍ بِإِسْلام, that means we just embraced Islam. That means he's saying to the one who's listening, please excuse us, regardless of what. Listen to me. Who is the one who's narrator? He's one of them. He did not hide that narration from us, even if it blames him. If he did not narrate it to us, we will never know it. We never learn from it. He had said it even though it blames him. The first one, Al-Harith, because he had embraced Islam at that time. And it blames Abu Sufyan, blames Safwan, blames Ikrimah. Lots of companions embraced Islam at that time. But he didn't want to hide it. Because the Prophet said, "Man katama ilman wa ya'lamu, aljamahu Allahu li jahli minhu." If a person knows knowledge and yet he hides it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put him bridle of fire in his mouth on the day of resurrection. So Waqid al-Laythi, even despite it's against him, he says that what's happened. But please excuse us. We are just, we recently had left kufr. So whatever is coming, don't start saying, oh, you guys. No. So he said, the kuffar, they had sidra. The kuffar, who he was amongst them. But the way he's talking about it is like, I've got nothing to do with it. You could have just said, we were. He said, the mushriki, kuffar, and he was one of them. And he knows it. Because he said, sidratun ya'kufuna indaha wa yanutuna biha aslihatahum. He hasn't got Google to Google it. What does happen to that tree? He knows. Because he is from Makkah, he is Qurayshi, he knows that this is what the people they used to do. And he knows that tree. And he started to explain. Number one, that they used to ya'kufun, that means to stay the night. I'tikaf. Number two, that yanutuna biha aslihatahum. Whenever they want to fight a battle, they will hang their weapon in that tree, believing that that tree will supercharge, like a charger for their weapon. Number three, he says, يُقَالُ لَهَا ذَاتُ أَنْوَاطٍ. He knows the name of it. Nobody told him. The name of it is ذَاتُ أَنْوَاطٍ. Anwat means to hang, the hanging tree. And another narration, he says, كَانُوا يَذْبَحُونَ عِنَّا. They used to slaughter. Another narration is we sleep the night. They used to make rituals. Around that tree, to make rituals. It's not really just a normal, no, it's a ceremony. They used to make a ceremony around that tree. That tree is only a low tree, but it's maybe the big tree. It sticks out. Now, why is that low tree? Is that particular low tree was really that tree? Allahu a'lam. Maybe they won a battle next to it, and they made it, a holy tree. That anwa. Then he said, "Famararna bisidra." Then we went past by another low tree. This is what amazes me. Now, they didn't want to, have that one want. They don't want to take that one, because this one they believe this is a mushrik tree. This is a mushrik tree because the people, mushrikeen, we want a Muslim tree. Okay, this is a mushrik tree, leave it to them. I want a Muslim tree. Now the Muslim tree doesn't happen except if the Prophet of Allah blesses it. This is what tabarruk. So the Prophet of Allah will come to the tree and will do like this. The tree becomes now with some voltage. And then the people come to the tree, they take that voltage from that tree. You understand? This is what happens. So if according to these people, if a holy man touched you, you could pass that holy touch to them as well, and they could start touching you. If you've seen how they make, for example, the bay'ah to them, you think, because lots of people, they don't really make bay'ah to individuals, so what do? They hold each other's hand. So all of that, like this, nobody's so seen them. And the bay'ah, transfers to the body, for the blood. Same thing with these people. They make the barak according. So they want the Prophet to make them that to Allah. Make us a hanging tree, Messenger of Allah. We are going to the battle, we need to have what? Power to our weapons. So make us this powerful tree so we can really hang our weapon as well. But we don't want that mushrik tree. We want a Muhammadi tree. And we want you to do that. And then inshallah, then they will become Muslim tree. And it will become as well Muslim way of doing it. That's how you can. So this is, I would say, at least they're coming to a prophet. So if they came to a prophet, came to a knowledgeable person, alhamdulillah, the knowledgeable person will tell them the haqq, the batil. But imagine those people, and they don't, went to somebody who is, he is not a prophet, not even a knowledgeable. And on top of that, he is a sorcerer or a liar. And the person even takes money from them. So you pay money for him in order to make that tree for him, a holy tree. So how do you, now somebody made his house in some of the countries to be holy, in Pakistan, by making the foot of the Prophet ﷺ land in his back garden. Have you heard about this? This happened about 4 years ago. I don't know who had given him that idea, Iblis or whatever. And he had made 1 foot of the Prophet, a huge foot. It's in the video, huge foot. And he had circled it with something. And this is the foot of the Prophet, means he came that night to his house. So people upon people started coming. I was giving a talk, I remember about this issue. I said, the people, you should really realize that the Prophet of Allah, 1 foot, what is the second one? Is he coming hopping? Hopping like this? It must be a 2nd foot. So it must be somebody was listening to me or something. So he said, the 2nd foot is in my house. Because lots of people came to that house. So he said, they're making money. So the other foot, he's landed in his house. So they made now 2 houses. But the second house making more money than the first one. It's a new bid'ah, all the time is better. And that's what is happening. Give barakah out of nothing. So the Prophet ﷺ, despite of their intention, despite whether they are good or not good, the Prophet ﷺ fixes what is the action. So when the Prophet ﷺ saw a man said to him, Ma sha'Allahu wa shi't. If Allah wills and you will. Prophet of Allah straight away said to him, Aja'altani lillahi nidda. Did you make me equal to God? And I'll tell you here, I'm 100% the Prophet of Allah. When he said that, he knows that this companion doesn't want to make him equal to God. Because he's a companion. And he brought him up. And I could tell you from here as well, that companion doesn't want to make it. He's a monotheistic. You run off from that. Now he's going to say that Muhammad is equal to God, but his words that will indicate that he's equal to God. He said, are you making me say, MashaAllah, only if Allah wills. And we have a will, not just a Prophet of Allah. If we will, we'll do that, isn't it? But because in that context, the will of Allah, the will of the Prophet of Allah, in one sentence, that indicates there is equality here. And that is why we tell the brothers who are putting Allah and Muhammad, even they are equal. Somebody was looking there. Now, in their ideology, that Allah is on the right is greater than Muhammad is on the left. That's what they believe. But if somebody is a disbeliever, or I don't know anything about Islam, I'm saying Allah and Muhammad, what do they think? They've got one God, 2 God. One God is called Allah, another God is called Muhammad. That's what I believe. So, whether they mean it or they don't mean it, and some of them mean it, of course, but if they don't mean it, they're making shirk. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ stopped him. أَجَعَلْتَنِي لِلَّهِ نِدًّا. So he said to them, Allahu Akbar. Now, Allahu Akbar, you say it's a number of issues. Allahu Akbar, when you see something which is nice and great, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah, Allahu Akbar. You see, as well, you say Allahu Akbar when you are attacking the enemies. Allahu Akbar. You say Allahu Akbar when you make the adhan. You say Allahu Akbar as well when you are not happy with something. Allahu Akbar, that means, how can you dare you say this? So this is another usage of Allahu Akbar. And that's what he meant, the last one, the Prophet of Allah. Allahu Akbar, what are you talking about, people? That's what he's saying, Allahu Akbar. And another narrations from this hadith, Subhanallah, he said, instead of Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, which means absolving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So, and he said, إِنَّهَا السَّنَنِ. You could say إِنَّهَا السَّنَنِ, or you could say إِنَّهَا السُّنَنِ. Both of them are correct. So, as-sanan and as-sunan, which means the paths that the people follow. The paths, it's the path that the people follow. And then the Prophet of Allah, he says, verily, قُلْتُمْ وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ. So we said sanan and as-sunan. قُلْتُمْ, you have said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, by the one in whose hand is my soul. Most of the time the Prophet of Allah makes an oath, he makes an oath in this way. كما قالت بنو إسرائيل لموسى. Just like the children of Israel, they said to Musa عليه السلام, اجعل لنا إلها كما لهم آلهة. Surah Al-A'raf. قال إنكم قوم تجهلون. He said to them, you are ignorant people. So the Prophet of Allah here, he made a qiyas. Qiyas, that means to make a comparison between two scenarios which have similarity between them. He made a qiyas of what the Sahaba companions had said to him regarding asking for that tree with those people who are the Sahaba of Musa alayhi salam when they said to Musa alayhi salam. Sahaba from Banu Israel, when they said to Musa alayhi salam, make us a god. So they are like, make us a god like they have a god. So you are actually, by asking that to Anwar, that tree, you're asking to have a god. And the Prophet ﷺ, and he ended that, لَتَرْكَبُنَّ سَنَنَ أُرْ سُنَنَ مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ. You will follow what these people have been following. They will be doing what they've been doing. And even there are narrations which is not to do with this hadith, where in Al-Tabarani, which the Shaykh al-Albani makes it Hasan, حتى لو أن أحدهم ضاجع أمه في الطريق لفعلت مثل ذلك. If one of them is to even fornicate with his mother on the path of the road, you will do the same. Do the same thing. They will as well fornicate with your mother on the path, on the roads. So here, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لَتَرْكَبُنَّ سَنَنَ أُرْ سُنَنَ مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ. There's another narration which says, حَذْوَ الْقُذَّةِ بِالْقُذَّةِ وَشِبْرًا بِالشِّبْرِ. Span by span. That means to the latter. حتى لو أن أحدهم دخل جحر ضب لدخلتموه. So we have a number of narrations for this hadith. We said the first one, ضاجع أمه في الطريق. He will fornicate with his mother on the path. He will do the same thing. You will follow him القذة بالقذة, which is Sahih Bukhari. That is letter by letter, foot by foot, step by step, شبرا بشبر, handspan by handspan. حتى لو أن أحدهم دخل جحر ضب لدخلتموه. If he goes to the lizard hole, you will follow. And the lizard hole, by the way, the lizard in the desert, it's got a very twisted hole inside. So you'll follow them the same way as well. And that is why we find, that is why the Muslims, they copy and imitate the non-Muslims in their birthdays and also in their celebrations, even these days of, for example, Valentine, they do have that these days as well, the Muslims, Allah musta'an. So this is what the Muslims are finding. We're finding also. For example, celebrating the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. We take it from the celebration of the Prophet Isa ﷺ by the Christians. So, Prophet of Allah, another narration, he says that the companion said, "Al-Yahuda wal-Nasara, Messenger of Allah, are you saying that we're going to be following the Christians and the Jews?" He said, "Men either. Who else? You're going to follow them? You're going to follow, for example, the Hindus. You can follow most of the time the Christians and the Jews. They are following of the Hindus, but it's not as much as following those monotheistic religion in their origin. So the hadith here is all of it being brought to say from this, اجعل لنا ذات أنواط, make us ذات أنواط كما لهم ذات أنواط. And Prophet of Allah, of course, he did not approve of this. We come to the issues. Issue number one, the explanation of the ayah of Surah Al-Najm. أفرأيتم اللات والعزى ومناة الثالثة الأخرى, to the end of the verses, and we have explained them. And the second issue is to know what is the thing that they've asked, because they've asked the Prophet of Allah in the hadith to make them that to anwar, just like the kuffar, the mushrikun, they have that or not. because they want to have tabarruk with that tree. That is why. So that is the idea behind it. Not because they want to worship the tree. They want to make tabarruk with that tree. So this is a proof to say making tabarruk with the trees is from the tabarruk, which we said is impermissible. And the third issue, كونهم لم يفعلوا. And that is, the companions, alhamdulillah, yes, they did not put their weapon on the tree, but they have asked the Prophet of Allah in order for them to hang their weapons on the tree, to approve that. So this is something which will be given even to the companions and newcomers of the deen. They did not hang it and they said the Prophet of Allah, make barakah. No, they said, first of all, make the barakah and then we will hang. So they will follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, the fourth issue, their intention is to get closer to Allah, because they believe that this thing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves it. So, loves for them to hang the tree, to hang their weapons on the tree. And that is why they asked the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to approve this, to make it as a worship. And we could never understand from this that they wanted to disobey the Prophet of Allah. No way. And number 5, that because they were ignorant, which are the companions, then others are having more priority to be as well ignorant. So those companions were ignorant. So can't we as well acknowledge the fact there are Muslims who are even more ignorant than those people? Wallahi, there are more ignorant than those people that they don't know the name of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They don't know how to read the Fatiha. They just know that I'm a Muslim. That's it. They know nothing. Even if you ask them about the Shahadateen, even if you ask them nothing, they are so ignorant, nobody had told them anything. They're just born as a Muslim, and that's it. Ask them to read the Fatiha, they don't know anything. So the Sahaba, they are, without any doubt, the most knowledgeable people in Allah's religion. So if the Sahaba, they don't know regarding the tabarruk, which is not really permissible, that is to make tabarruk with a tree, then other people, they have the same thing. And I talked to you, remember, about the tree which was on top of the mountain with the springs of water. And I was a kid, I remember my mother used to hang what? It's a string which we call it Suhaib. We call it the Prophet Suhaib Maqam. I don't think I've ever Suhaib had passed that area anyway. Alayhi salam. But that's what the people they do. Alhamdulillah, the tree's gone. Number 6, that they have the hasanat and they have the promise of the maghfirah, the forgiveness, which others they don't have. And this is from the number of ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He had mentioned that in number of ayat, that the Sahaba, they have from the hasanat, which is enough to forgive whatever sayyat they have done. And they have the promise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had forgiven. But despite of all of this, the Prophet of Allah did not give them an excuse. When the Prophet of Allah said to Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, upon giving him 1,000 dinar when he went to the Battle of Tabuk, he said, مَا ضَرَّ عُثْمَانَ مَا فَعَلَ بَعْدَ الْيَوْمِ. Didn't he? Nothing will harm Uthman, regardless of what he does after today. Would he tolerate for Uthman if he had done shirk? Would he? And what does it say here? Is it an open check for Uthman to do whatever he likes? No, it means Uthman, radiallahu anhu, as a human being, son of Adam, he's bound to make sins. So those sins will be so few, because, or they're going to be, even regardless how many they are, the hasanat that he's done, it will overcome them. It will overwhelm them. The 7th issue is that the Prophet ﷺ, he did not give them an excuse, as we have said. He said to them, Allahu Akbar. Verily it is the sunan, or the sanan, the paths, and then you will follow the paths of the people before you. And he had said that with 3 things. He said that with the 3 things. And that is, Allahu Akbar, number 1. Number 2, Innaha sanan, the paths. 3rd, La tarkabunna, you will embark upon the paths of the people who are before you. So all of those are 3 deterrents and emphasis. Number 8, the issue is great. That is, the Prophet of Allah told him that what you have asked is exactly what the people of Israel had asked Musa alayhi salam, make us a god. So it's like asking, make us a god. So to change the name, it does not change the reality. So they have asked for a tree. Maybe the Prophet of Allah made the equivalent to that the people of Israel asked for what? For God. Same thing. Number 9, that is from the meanings of La ilaha illallah, is to totally abandon the tabarruk, which is the false tabarruk of the tree. And yet it is very delicate and very hidden upon those. So the negation of tabarruk with the tree is from the meaning of La ilaha illallah. Because when you say La ilaha illallah, there is no God worthy of worship except for Allah alone, it will deny all other gods except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it will give no uluhiyyah, no, which we call it lordship, to anyone except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Exactly the same thing as well for the barakah. It will not be acceptable from other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 10. أنه حلف. The Prophet of Allah, he had made a oath. He said, by Allah, while he's giving a fidyah. And yet he was not asked to make an oath. And he only makes an oath for a maslahah. Maslahah means there's a benefit. So the Prophet of Allah said, by Allah, by the one in whose hand is my soul. No one even asked the Prophet of Allah to say that. Even we know that the Prophet of Allah, he doesn't need to say that, because whatever comes from him is truth. So what is the maslahah? What is the benefit from that? The benefit for that is either to bring good or push away evil. And any person who does the oath for no maslahah, then he's actually misusing the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And al-halifu billah ibadah. One day, the Shaykh al-Albani was asked to do something, or he asked somebody to do something. He said to him, by Allah you should do it. So one of the students, I remember, asked the Shaykh, why do you say this, Shaykh? Because Prophet of Allah asked us not to make an oath a lot with Allah. He said, al-halifu ibadah. Making an oath is part of what? Your ibadah. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had been commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make an oath in Surah Yunus, verse 53, in verse 7, Surah Taghabun, and in verse 3 in Surah Saba. Return to them and refer to them, you will see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had required the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make an oath. Okay? This is 3 places in the Quran. Yunus 53, Taghabun number 7, and Saba verse number 3. Number 11, that the shirk, it has minor and major. We've established that beyond any doubt. Because when they have done what they have done, they did not come out of the fold of Islam, did they, the companions? So this is why we say that shirk has major, minor, hidden and open. Khafi wa jali, clear and hidden. So the major shirk will chuck the person outside the fold of Islam. The minor shirk, which is less than that. And we say less than that, maybe it is not a perfect scale or a clear scale to do that, as our Shaykh al-Uthaymeen says. And that is why they have differed regarding what is the criterion by which we could distinguish a minor shirk from not a minor shirk. We have 2 sayings of the scholars. One saying says that the shirk al-asghar, the minor shirk, at everything that the Allah or His Messenger, Islam, had called it shirk, and the text does not indicate it is not from the major shirk. Just like, for example, he who had made an oath by other than Allah, he had made shirk, فالشرك here, this shirk here, it is shirk minor. Because we know from the text that this mere oath by other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will not take you outside the fold of Islam. No way. So it must be a minor shirk. The second saying of theirs, or interpretation, or criterion by which you could distinguish minor shirk, that the minor shirk, whatever is being taken as a way or a means or a path to lead to the shirk al-akbar, even if the sharia does not call it shirk. So if any person depends upon something, just like he depends upon Allah, yet he does not take him as a God, then this is a minor shirk. So when he depends upon him, just like he depends upon Allah, it will lead to the major shirk, which he makes him like God, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this definition, the second one, is more encompassing and wider than the first definition. Because the first one does not regard anything to be shirk asghar. It has to be something that you have a proof from the Quran or the Sunnah to say it is what? Minor shirk. Whereas the other one, he makes everything, whether the Sharia called it shirk or not, as long as it leads to the shirk al-akbar, to be what? Shirk asghar. So in that second definition, you could say even the disobedience, ma'siyah, all of it is to be what? Shirk asghar. Because it will lead him to the shirk al-akbar. Like for example, the person who had depended upon his whims and desire. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ. And that is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has called the shirk upon the person who is abandoning the prayer, even though he did not commit shirk. And he said between the man and the shirk and the kufr is abandoning the prayer. So anyway, those people who had asked for the tree did not commit shirk akbar. They committed shirk asghar. And the shirk, as I said, is as well hidden and clear. What is clear is what the people can see, whether it's major or minor, it could be. Just like making an oath by Allah, prostrating to the idol. And for the hidden one, so prostration to the idol is a major one, but it's clear. As for making an oath by other than Allah, it is minor one, but it's clear. As for the hidden one, which is that the people, they don't know whether it is major or minor. Like for example, riya, showing off. Okay, that's from the minor shirk, which is hidden. And also to believe that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there's another God. That's from the major shirk, but it's hidden, nobody can see it, because you have it as an aqidah. Right, so all of that as an interpretation which we have spoke about before. Coming to the 12th matter, he's saying, وَنَحْنُ حُدَثَاء, we are recently had left kufr. So فيه أن غيرهم لا يجهل ذلك. That means it says that other than them, he's not ignorant of this. So he's basically asking to be excused because of his recent Islam, had recently left the kufr. So he's apologizing for their ignorance. Maybe others, they will not have that opportunity to apologize. And that's what we call al-ma'lum min ad-dini bil-darura, what is being known to by the religion by necessity, differs from one place to another. So if a person, for example, he does not fast Ramadan, and we bring him to the punishment, and he says that, I didn't know that Ramadan is compulsory. We say to him, where do you live? I live in Luton. I say, you live in Luton, you don't know what Ramadan is compulsory? That's unacceptable. We'll be punished. But if somebody had just embraced Islam, and he lives in an area where there's nobody, no Muslim, and I said, I didn't know that Ramadan is compulsory, then we will not punish him, because we will excuse him because he does not live in an area where we think most likely he will be in contact with the Muslims. This is what we call ma'lum min ad-dini bil-darura. It differs from one person to another person, from one area to another area. Then we come to the 13th matter, which is yet got to as well. Takbir, to make takbir whenever you have something that you didn't like. Something that you ta'ajjub, we call it an exclamation mark. something that you are astonished of. Allahu Akbar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater than that. Number 14, Sad-dhara'i. Sad-dhara'i is a great principle, which is to block anything that would lead to something which is worse. So always to block something. These dhara'i, they would lead to major issues, so you block them. So the Prophet ﷺ, he had now blocked the shirk, the major one, by blocking the what? The tabarruk, which is the manna. So the Prophet of Allah, he would make, lots of, for example, the Prophet ﷺ, he told Aisha, if your people hadn't been that recently left kufr, I would have demolished the Kaaba and rebuilt it again. But because he wanted to block and prevent whatever is going to be later on more disastrous, that people would say here Muhammad is belittling the religion of Ibrahim, did not do it. So that's Sad-dhara'i. So that's Sad-dhara'i is a great principle if it's been used in the right way. Number 15, to prohibition to imitate the kuffar, people of Jahiliyyah. And number 16, that is to be angry and annoyed, to have anger when you are teaching, because the Prophet said, Allahu Akbar, you are following the sentence, so no problem to show his emotion. Number 17, he said, Al-Qa'idah al-Kulliyah, the major principle, because he said, Innaha sunnah, that is, this ummah will follow the paths of the people before it. It doesn't mean that it is going to be lawful, but it's actually to warn. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, my ummah will be divided into 73 groups, all of them in the hellfire except for one. And number 18, that this is from the prophecy, the prophethood, because it had happened, that we have followed, the people before us. Now, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen here, he talks about a hadith, rahimahullah, which is that the shaitan, hadith says, the shaitan, which is Iblis, had given hope to be worshipped by the people who pray, that means the people of monotheism, to be worshipped in the Arabian Peninsula. So how can this happen? We know that there are people who are, worshipping the shaitan. He says, how can this worship of the shaitan happens? If it happens in the Arabian Peninsula, it will negate this hadith. So the Shaykh rahimahullah, he says, this is to say that the Prophet of Allah ﷺ, when he said that he is in despair of him to be worshipped, it doesn't mean that he will be totally denied or totally unhappy. It will not happen. It will sometimes happen as well, because it's permissible to happen on contrast of what the shaitan he believes. Because the shaitan said, he's given hope, but maybe the shaitan's opinion is not maybe right. He might be as well worship. You understand? So this is the shaitan, he had given hope. But who says that if the shaitan had given hope, it means that whatever the shaitan had given hope, it will not take place. And yes, we know for a fact that the Jazeera, that at the moment it is clear from the shirk in totality. But basically, maybe there are shirk which is taking place hiddenly. There are people I have seen worship, facing the Prophet ﷺ's grave and making dua and raising up their hands. And that is from the shirk. But is it the worshipping of the shaitan? That's as well another issue. Number 19. Everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blamed or he had criticized, it is as well for us. That means if whatever criticized by Allah to the Christian and the Jews is also criticized for us, if we have the same similarity in waqa'at tashabbuh. So if we have emulated the Christian and the Jews, we will be under the threat, under the warning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 20, I'm sorry that the issues are a bit long here. He says that it is being already stated to them that the ibadat, the worships, are based upon the command. So it was important to indicate on other issues like the grave, man rabbuk. So it is clear. I'm going to explain that inshallah in a minute. and also madinuk, and also ij'al lana ilaha. So we know for a fact all worships are based upon the commands, whether it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or from His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And anything which is not being authenticated by a command from Allah and His Messenger, it's a bid'ah. So if any person makes a worship, we ask him, where's the proof for that worship? And that's why we say the principle is in the deen to prevent until there's a proof. Al-mana' hatta yarid dalil. Now, so coming now to the 21st, إنها سنة أهل الكتاب مذمومة للمشركين. That is the sunnah, the path of the people of the book, is actually as well criticized, just like the sunnah of the kuffar, the mushrikeen, because the sunnah of the kuffar, which is as well the mushrikeen, is a sunnah of the hellfire people. Number 22, and this is the last one, alhamdulillah. It is going to be frustrating to you because you don't have it in your book. That's why I'm translating as much as I can. The person, he says, إن المنتقل من الباطل الذي ارتده قلبه لا يؤمن أن يكون في قلبه بقية من تلك العادة. The one who transfers himself from falsehood, which he always got used to it, and his heart is settled to it, he does not believe that his heart should have any remaining from that habit. And that is why he said, we are close to the kufr. And that is true. Or for the person who transfers from one something to another thing, whether it is haqq or batil, he does not believe that in his heart anything remaining from that. And then this remaining, it will not take away or go away until after a while. Because as we said, we recently left kufr. So he's like saying that we have asked because we had some remaining in his what? In his heart from the background history, from the old kufr that he had. And that is why the Shaykh Muthaymin, he says, it is from the hikmah that when a fornicator, which is not a person who is muhsin, a person who is married before, he fornicates, that is the sunnah of the sharia comes, that is to make him exiled for a year. Why? To make him away from his environment, because his environment will what? Remind him of fornication again. So after you flog him 100 times, that person who had made the zina, you exile him to an area which is far away from the area, because he might have remaining in his heart of committing the zina again. Okay? So that is why it says the Shaykh rahimahullah, a person should be as far as he can from all places that will remind him of kufr and shirk. By this, alhamdulillah, finish the chapter, and we'll finish what we have designed to say for tonight. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm really sorry again for being late tonight. If you have any questions, please, regarding what we have heard, please go ahead. By the way, to translate the issues is not really an easy issue. To translate the issues is not an easy issue. I would have loved that somebody would read for me from the translation of that book. My translation, was it really close to the translation that you got? Okay. Alhamdulillah. Right. Translation on the spot, this is called. Do you have any questions, please? No question for them? No.
Is there narration saying that to the end of the times, the idol worship will come back to the Arabian Peninsula?
Is there any narrations that there will be at a time that the Arabian Peninsula will have shirk? We do have hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, لن تقوم الساعة حتى تعبد اللات. The hour will not be resurrected until the Lat will be again worshipped. وحتى تضطرب اليات ذات دوس حول ذات الخالصة. Khalisah is a god, it's a statue. And Daus is from the Arabian Peninsula. That the back side of those women, they will start vibrating around that god. And this is happening in Africa. You know in Africa? You know those Men and women, they put their guard on the fire and start dancing. Oh, the shit. It's exactly what's going to happen with this tribe of Daws, which is another tribe, well known in Yemen. They're going to be what? Rotating around that guard of al-Khalisa. So it's going to happen. Allah musta'an. Don't worry. If you worry about, there is going to be a person who's going to dismantle the Kaaba. What are the Muslims? Stone by stone is going to. This is the end of the time. Where are the Arabs? What the Prophet said, where are the Arabs? Every time there's something they compare. Where are the Arabs? Very few. The Dajjal when he comes, very few. Yajuj and Majuj will come out, very few. Prophet said the Arabs will be very few. The time of the Dajjal will be very few. I'm not saying the Arabs are people, holy made people, but I'm just saying that the Arabs are the ones who speak the language. Very few. And in the time of Yajuj and Majuj, Prophet Allah said, فُتِحَ الْيَوْمِ مِنْ رَدْمِ يَأْجُوجَ وَمَأْجُوجَ مِثْلُ هَذِهِ. And Zainab says, asked, Messenger of Allah, are we going to be perished when the people, they're going to be there? He said, nobody there. There will be nobody there from the Salihun. Very few. Luka ibn Luka, as'adu nasi bid-dunya. Luka ibn Luka, the son of the one who's got nothing. Person is nothing, son of nothing. He is the one who's most happy in this dunya at that time. A dog will come to the masjid of the Prophet and urinate. Not any masjid, the masjid of the Prophet. And Prophet he said, Kharabu Bayt al-Maqdis, Kharabu Yathrib. So Yathrib and Bayt al-Maqdis, they will what? Be deserted. They will be left, they will be, and that's when Fath al-Qustantiniya will come as well. Now,
In
Fadl.
the Salah, in the Jama'ah, what's the correct way of doing feet to feet? Is it the toes touching? Is it the ankles touching? What's the correct way? For some people, put their feet out like pain. You can't really touch the ankle.
Okay, the question was not linked to the topic. In the Jama'ah prayer, how do we put the feet with the feet? Is it the toes together? Is it the toes and the back side, the back, which is the back heel? I've never seen the back heel touching, the toes are not touching. I've never seen that. The heels are touching, the toes are not touching. I've never seen that. That's a big one. I've seen the front one touching, but the back one doesn't. But the back one is touching, the front one doesn't. It doesn't work. Even if you do it, you can't work it. It doesn't work. The one which is to be touching is the back. Because when the back touches, the front touches. Straight away. So you'll never find people touching the back and then it doesn't work. It has to be the back touching, and when you touch the back, then your feet. But we say to the person, you do it as much as you are able to do it. Because some of the feet, they're not straight from the side where they're touching from with the neighbors. Some of them are not. So you do it as much as you can with your toes towards the Qibla. But unfortunately, most of the people toward the toes are, they are towards like that. That's the Qibla, for example, like this. That's what they're there. Because they touch the toes with the toes. It's supposed to be the ankle, and that's what the hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu, where he used to say, I used to see the ankle, الساق بالساق, the leg with the leg, الكتف بالكتف, والعنق بالعنق. From this hadith, whatever is touching should be touching, and whatever cannot be touching should be what? In parallel. Don't use that hadith like these people from the people of Takbir, whatever. Look, how can you stick the neck with the neck? Because you're not an Arab, that's why you don't understand Arabic. The hadith does not say stick the neck with the neck. It means whatever is in parallel, you make it parallel. Whatever is touching, you touch it. But you use the neck with the neck, it doesn't work. So Anas, you're accusing him he doesn't know Arabic? Wallah, you don't know Arabic. Anas, he knows Arabic. But they know, these people, they know. And when you, for example, you could negate this hadith, never mind the neck. You could have as well, the shoulder will not touch the shoulder when you have a child next to you. How can the shoulder could you touch the shoulder? We're going to raise him up with the jack, put him the shoulder to make the hadith working. So I don't understand this mentality of theirs. Whatever can be touched, whatever is in parallel, in parallel. That's what it means. Now, last question, uncle? Our lesson, uncle, sticks to the Isha. Isha is going to be 10:30 at 7 unless your Isha is going to go earlier. 7:30 up to now, it's going to be then after the Isha, inshallah. As long as I'm going to have punctures. But I had punctures today, I had lots of things which is not really going right, except for this class, mashallah, is the best. So alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khairan for your patience. I almost cancelled the class, but the one who had made me to do the class, and this is the favor you should really thank him for, is our uncle Iqbal. He said, come. I said, I'm going to be around maybe 10 past, 15 past. He said, come. And I made it, alhamdulillah, 5 past. By the time I finished my wudu and everything, it was 10 past when I started. So alhamdulillah. That's Shakir. After the uncle question? Yalla, tafadhal.
I love you mentioning not to always say certain words and astonish the children because they might be afraid of the word. So for example, saying Subhanallah or Allahu Akbar in a negative way too much.
No, of course, Allahu Akbar, it can be said in a way that will represent what you mean by that. So if you said Subhanallah, that means you are not really happy with what happened. Subhanallah, you're happy with it. Allahu Akbar, you're happy. Allahu Akbar, that means you're not happy. Allahu Akbar, that's fighting the enemies. So there are ways of doing it, okay? جزاك الله سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب